Welcome to Ask Cadence, everyone, the project management podcast. My name is Pete Wright. I am sitting here with John Patton. John, hello.
Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. It is fantastic to sit down with you again this week. We're not tackling a problem card today. We've hit the problem cards a bunch over the last couple of weeks. Today we're gonna do a bit of a retrospective. You have been a member of the Project Management Institute for 28 years this year.
Yes, I have, Pete.
28
just
years.
Reflecting on that. That coming up this next month of April, it's 28 years.
What is the Project Management Institute? What does your membership and involvement with PMI mean to you as a professional after all these years?
Well, it's become a key part of my life, and it's been very supportive of my career. Here I was starting Cadence and developing a methodology for project management. I needed some kind of confirmation from my peers, and it certainly enabled me to have ongoing conversations with them about their project management experiences and what I was developing. So right off the bat, right from the beginning, there was a sounding board benefit, and also I'll call it a commiseration board benefit, that if I was facing some challenges, I could always share those with my fellow members in a monthly meeting and get some commiseration and some advice. You know, project managers are problem solvers. And so here was a monthly meeting where there were a bunch of project managers used to problem solving and welcoming another problem to solve, to talk over. So that was one of the early sorts of things. In 1983, when I joined, there were 5,000 members worldwide. Wow. Of PMI. Today there are over 600,000 members worldwide. So there's been a big change. A lot of that began to occur in the mid-90s, where there was geometric growth, when project management was really recognized as critical to success in the business and government world.
It's sort of a chicken or the egg thing, right? I mean, was it PMI, you sort of think, did project management become recognized and PMI grew to support it? Or did PMI, the power of PMI and the growing recognition of project management lead to more sane project management practices in government and industry?
Well, I think, Pete, it's both. You know, there was a seminal article in the early 90s in Fortune magazine that talked about project management is essential for business. And then leadership in the mid-90s in PMI really began an outreach approach, which got way beyond the construction orientation in the beginning and began to be very, very inclusive of people making changes from wherever. And then also early on, one of the reasons, the primary reason I stay with PMI is that they have a well-funded research program. And these are the things that we know practically from our experience. They prove with scientific investigation. And these are very extensive. They're very well done, just top-of-the-line research. And the research feeds the development of standards. So there wasn't really a standard for project management. The PMBOK was in sort of early form when I joined, and the first edition truly came out around 1988, and we're in the fourth edition today. And these standards are very essential for a methodology. A methodology basically shows how you apply the standards that are listed, in this case in the body of knowledge. So flexible, scalable sort of application. And I've enjoyed going to research conferences and interacting with the academics there. In fact, a PMI research conference is about 50% practitioners and 50% academics nowadays. It is not one of those musty old college halls kind of thing. So it's those are great events, and I still go to the global congresses and regional congresses around the world. And I'm a member of 8 chapters besides the Portland chapter where I'm from. And that enables me, the travel and the participation in PMI events, enables me to develop a holistic view of where project management is around the world. And, if I had to do all that on my own, it would be an enormous task. There's no way I could do the research on my own, and I'm a great beneficiary of PMI. Now, I also give back, but as a member of the Education Foundation and on certain PMI committees that I've been members of. So it's been a very good association.
I wonder if you could share some of the, I mean, you mentioned two things that really sort of triggered for me. One is that you're a member of 8 PMI chapters. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in how you see PMI chapters sort of culturally differ from one another. Do you see any, or is a project manager a project manager? How are these chapters different?
Well, there's always a cultural adaptation. But I think I'm conditioned more to see the similarities, because that's how I get along. That's how what I'm looking for when I go to the countries. It seems to me like a chapter usually starts off providing certification benefits to members, helping them get prepared, and they reach a certain level of membership, and then they focus on having very good monthly meetings and
bringing in good speakers. And the educational track comes next.
Yeah, and then they begin their outreach and say, well, how can we be more effective in our region? Can we help more chapters get formed in our country? Can we establish a branch and get professional project management out to more people who need it, who work on projects? And so I see sort of an evolution. I think one of the commonalities of people is that either before or after the meal there's some food eaten. And Pete, I'll tell you, that's different around the world.
Sure.
In the Netherlands, I'm a member of that chapter, and I'm a member of the Japanese chapter, and there's snacks and beer after the monthly meeting. I'm a member in the United States, of course, and with Americans, you got to eat before you sit down and listen. So it's been a good experience.
That's interesting. What have you brought back from PMI chapters abroad? What is the number one best practice you can recommend to chapters just starting on how they really can increase their role and the import of project management in the community, besides the beer and snacks?
That's a tough question, Pete. It's very interesting. I've gotten so much personal benefit from these chapters. I'm not sure. I see an outreach in Mexico that is just tremendous. The Mexico City chapter is so focused on providing benefit for its memberships. In the Congress that I attended in June of last year, I believe 80% of the people had been through certification. That's really a testimony of great service to your constituents. The publications are just first class coming out of Mexico. Great website. I think probably the greatest personal benefit in terms of inspiration and applying to project management is a theme that I call never give up. Stay the course, see the project through to completion. And it occurred in Uruguay, where I was at a presentation at Congress and listened to one of the survivors of the rugby team that had crashed in the Andes. And he talked about the survival and the coalition of 3 people who became the leaders of this group after the natural leader had died in an avalanche, and the absolute certainty that they were going to make it out of there that he had, the complete conviction. And it was so inspiring to me that tears came to my eyes, because I could really resonate as a project manager. I've never been in a life and death situation like that, but I've been in low moments on projects when you feel like you are the only person that really understands what it'll take to take this project forward, and then you start getting support and getting people aligned and starting to pull that thing out, and it happens somewhere in a project. Doesn't always happen at the same place. but then it delivers its result and the company benefits from it at the end. But highly inspirational sort of thing on the power of having internal conviction and drive to take this problem forward, and then to pull people together. And what those three leaders have done is created a society in the snow, and that was the name of their book, the most recent book that they have published. I don't know if it's translated into English, but in Spanish it translates across a society in the snow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
If it's translated, I really recommend it to people because you get a first-person narrative from each of the people that survive. All 16 people wrote their part of that book and what they went through. So the book also was very inspiring.
Well, it goes back to a central theme of the role of PMI, your exposure to this caliber of leader.
Oh man, Pete, the wonderful leaders that I've met, and the exchanges. I think, now that I think of it, one of the greatest experiences I had was spending a year at the research working sessions prior to each Congress on the study of complexity and rubbing shoulders with world experts in complexity and sharing my experiences and all of us sharing our experiences with each other. And as a result of that, coming out of it with a tremendously deeper understanding of project complexity and the difference between a complicated project and a complex project. I think that was fundamental for that year's experience.
This is just, it's a fascinating discussion, John, a fascinating role that PMI serves and the level of research that they contribute to the field. I think 28 years. Congratulations. And congratulations to PMI on yet another year of successful evolution in the field.
I just have tremendous positive things to say about PMI.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And any final words of advice to those who may not be members yet? I can't imagine.
I recommend they join. There is so much. They'll automatically be getting literature once a month. PMNet, which is written by practitioners. PMI Today, which says news about PMI. And then once every couple of months, they get the PMI Journal if they are so inclined to read what the researchers have done. There's a lot of good stuff coming out on portfolio management.
Top-notch research coming out of PMI. Thanks so much, John.
You bet, Pete.
On behalf of John Patton, my name is Pete Wright. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ask Cadence, the Project Management Podcast.